Hello and welcome to episode 66 of my Salem tutorial series. This episode is going to be on corn, planting corn, harvesting corn, and the items you get when you harvest and anything else I can think of to do with corn. So I thought, I've been going through lots of foods, and yes, my pumpkins are good for the roasted pumpkin seeds, and yes, it's nice to have more gobble foods as well as more simple foods to eat. So I thought it's time to look at corn to see what it can give us and do for us. We won't be going into the recipes this episode for the food recipes for corn. I just first want to look at the planting side of it, the seeds, and the information with regards to corn. Corn can be harvested at two growth stages, yielding either baby corn or seeds of corn. If you allow it to mature. Only the second mature phase will allow you to replant a field, so don't be too eager to harvest your crop unless you want baby corn and have corn seeds in reserve. So you've got a large urn full of corn seeds, then you can afford to just grow baby corn and harvest them, because you won't get any seeds from harvesting baby corn. When corn is mature, it is larger and lusher than it was in the baby corn stage. So let's show you some corn. If I come down here, yeah, you can see pumpkins everywhere. I went into a pumpkin frenzy. Here is corn. Now, notice that you can see the husks, the corn husks. That tells you it's at the second stage. So I'm going to harvest this field, and you will notice that I get these items that you see down here. I will get seeds. I may get a corn husk. And for the first one I harvested, I got 12 seeds of blue corn additional to the yellow corn. That must have been because of one of the influences on the field I harvested. So if we inspect the pumpkin patch, okay, the corn uses the first bar and the third bar. It uses the influences from these two. So the cabbage and potatoes, and cotton and tobacco, 1 and 3. That is the two influences that influence corn and the different tiers of corn that you will be able to harvest. When you plant and harvest corn, it will fill up the green influence bar like the cereals do. So as I grow corn and harvest it, this influence for cereal and corn will fill up. So anyway, let's harvest this field. If we look first of all at its influence, you'll see it's got the third influence for cotton and tobacco, which is, I'm guessing, why I got the blue corn, as it's a blue bar. So that makes complete and utter sense. So we're going to expect to see this go up. So let's harvest and take a look. Yeah, there you go. You see, so I got a load more blue corn. Now, I will get into crop rotation eventually. I know I haven't covered it yet, and what I'm talking about with crop rotations is the influences. What I'm doing to start with, okay, trying to go about it logically. I'm having a constant row of cabbages, constant rows of cotton, constant row of pumpkins. I'm going to do my cereals down this one, so constantly planting cereals, and the next fields along, although they got a bit messed up over this side, I'm going to have to redo them, but the next one along I want to do a constant row of corn. all the way down. Yeah, so I'm going to get that, although I need to rip these fields up because I've got gaps here which I don't want. And it would be nice if I can move the fields over like this, so I can have the fields down here rather than jutting out like this, because then I can use this end bit for my bushes. Anyway, so I'm going to have constant corn down there, cereal there, pumpkins, cabbages, cotton, and tobacco will be the next one eventually that I get into. That's a long way off, tobacco, but for now that's how I'm going to do it. The reason I chose cereals and corn over here is because if we take a look, you'll see that when you grow the cereal and the corn, their fields obscure the items around the edges, so it's difficult to see these urns, for example, and any items adjacent to the fields, because they grow so high and thick. It can be difficult to see, so that's why I've decided to put my cereals and corns over here, so they're not obstructing anything. Well, these large urns I guess I can move at some point anyway, so there we go. That's something to bear in mind with the planting of your corn. When yeah, so this is what I was going to read in my notes. When corn is mature, it is larger and lusher than it was as a baby corn stage, and the ears of corn will be visible on the stalk. So zooming right in, there you go, it's talking about these. You can see these ears of corn. That's how you know it's at the second growth stage. Unlike cereals, harvested corn yields the seeds themselves rather than an intermediate item. So as you can see down here, it's starting to get loads of corn seeds, which is good, so I can start planting in earnest. Milling the seeds of corn is what gives you cornmeal. So when we get onto the foods of corn, then I will show you us making cornmeal. Maybe I'll do an episode about making a windmill first, we'll see. Milling corn provides cornmeal of the same purity as the seeds. So you can see here that the purity is 20.08. If I make it into cornmeal, the cornmeal will be 20.08. Okay, so let's see, what else did I want to mention? Where did corn come from in the New World, pilgrims? Well, corn was given out in an event in 2012. So all the corn, so to get your first load of corn, you are going to have to buy it from the market in Providence. There's no other way of finding it. You simply have to buy it off of another player. So bear in mind that all corn you see in the game originated from that first event when it was handed out in 2012 to players, and so that's where your corn comes from. Right, okay, so there we go. That's pretty much covering corn. Now what I'm going to do is get myself a nice big row of corn, so I'll have plenty of it in the future to prepare myself for crop rotations, which is why I'm growing loads and loads of all the different crops. So I'm growing them like this permanently in the same spot to get their influences up. So let's take a look quickly at some of their influences, what I've managed so far. So if we come over here to the pumpkins, let's come up a bit. Okay, let's take a look at this one. So pumpkins, if I inspect, pumpkins are giving us the red influence. This is left over from the cotton planting, the blue influence, but now I'm just going to stick to purely pumpkins, and eventually this bar will be full up. So it will be full up on the pumpkins. Whatever crop then uses red influence, I will then rotate to this row, so I can then get the benefits of that. Now bear in mind with the crops, they two of these influences affect them. So once the red bars fall, Whatever crop uses the red influence, I will check to see what the second influence is for that crop, and then start planting that crop in this row and see how high I can get both of the influences for that crop before I start growing it. Though what I want to do is get a harvest from every tier of the crop. I hope that makes sense. It should do. Anyway, let's look at the cabbages. Cabbages are the red influence as well. Oh, so the first influence and the last influence are both red, and the cotton is of course blue. So the number 2, have I got anything planted that does the number 2? Oh, of course it's green, which is the corn. But let's look then at the cereal, which I've had planted. I haven't rotated much. I haven't reharvested much cereal, so it's probably only going to be at the beginning of the bar. But if we look, this should be the green one. No, well, perhaps it's just simply because I haven't planted enough and been harvesting to show. Yeah, as you can see, I haven't been doing these enough. Anyway, let me grow loads of corn, and we'll hopefully then see the cereal and corn influence going up, which is the green bar. So we have red for cabbages and potatoes, green for cereal and corn, blue for cotton and tobacco, and red for pumpkins. Okay, wherever you are in the world, God bless you and keep every last one of you safe. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day. I hope you enjoyed this episode on corn. We'll get to working with some of the corn foods in the next episode. Goodbye.